everyone. Welcome to the Football Amigos show, where you get the best discussions and insights of our favorite teams in the Premier League. Once again, we'd like to welcome Sam, representing Liverpool, flying and soaring high. How are you feeling today, Sam?
You already know. I'm feeling like Philly's burger.
I'm gonna ask for some more explanation about that, bro. You're coming from the side. What does that mean?
I feel like I just picked random things, man. But I've had Philly's burger, and I had a double layer cheeseburger with American cheese on it. It
Oh man,
was so good, less greasy. It was good.
it's just
It was
perfect.
smooth.
You're feeling perfect. Everything is working as it should be. The ingredients are not burnt, overcooked. It's just perfectly made. The beef patty is just perfectly done. It's not burnt. It's not undercooked. Everything is just perfect. I can see how you
You
feel. I can see how you feel that way.
right on the
Well,
money.
amigos, you have
Everything is
myself.
good, just like Liverpool is right now.
I have nothing to say about that. It just is what it is, right? You can't argue with facts. Yeah, and myself, Ayo, you already know me, representing Arsenal, and just giving you my insights on the way they're playing. So we're coming today to hang out with you guys, but also react to Week 17, the matches that happened, and all the results that came out from very, very interesting and challenging games. We had the Liverpool v Tottenham game, which ended predictably, but not as devastating as in a 6-3 win for Liverpool. We had the Arsenal and Crystal Palace game. Arsenal coming in ahead, a very tight and challenging game, but coming in ahead at 5-1. And we have Man United playing Bournemouth at home and managing to lose the game 3-0. So just, so many different games, so many different perspectives. And we're just going to come and give our perspective on how we feel about the games and our teams in this moment. But before we get into Arsenal, before we get into Man United, let's go with the high flyers. Liverpool, Sam, they are going from strength to strength, from ruthlessness to ruthlessness. This reminds me of the Liverpool of old, where if they could get 6 goals, they'll get 6 goals. If they could get 10 goals, they'll get 10 goals. Just clinical, precise, like Swiss watch of an attack in a past game. Like, how does it feel to be a Liverpool fan, and how do you feel after that game?
Man, it's exciting time for Liverpool, I have to say. After that game, I just thought, okay, this is it. We have gotten to the climax, but we cannot stop. We beat the big names, but we cannot stop. So we still got some runners up coming up, but very exciting time, very exciting game. Big credit to Tottenham. They came up, played their part. Exciting team as always. However, they also did some dumb stuff. I have to call a spade a spade. They could do better. They could do better in so many ways.
Sam, when you say play their part, like as whipping boys, there's a little buttocks
no,
in the air. Just
no,
get it.
no, not quite that
Bang.
way. Not quite that way. Not quite that way, man. You Arsenal, man, showing up immediately, man. They- no, but no, they played their own part, being 11 men on the pitch, bringing some excitement to it. But come on, let's be honest. It wasn't difficult for Liverpool to tear them apart. There's so many shout out that I want to give to Liverpool, but I want to be respectful as well of Tottenham. I think the defender, the Gray, the young guy, uh, holding Mo Salah down was very impressive in the game. I just wish the coach had set them up for success. I'll give my point from a Liverpool's point of view. Well, from both teams' point of view. But I think the coach would have done better. The definition of insanity is when you do the same thing over and over and you expect different results. He's always wanting to put his best foot forward, and when you do it against teams like Liverpool, it's not good. Liverpool will outrun you in every aspect that you have. Uh, and when you have midfielders not tracking back, when you have defenders not your best four, you have to be able to change the game as the game goes on. Both teams started well with Liverpool coming up heavy metal. And about 10 minutes, Liverpool slowed down. And by the way, Liverpool should have had like 2-0 within the first 10 minutes. If Salah and Diaz actually they looked out for other players, they would have actually do one or two passes extra, and the game would have been killed at that point. But after 10 minutes, Tottenham came and they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to do the same thing to you. And, that's a disaster for them. They just not caught up for it. They don't have the resources for it. Look at your previous games. They've been doing the same thing, with almost all the teams, and they can kind of crush all the teams, but not Liverpool, man. I think overall, Trent was good. Trent had a great game. 1v1 against Son. Very, very did that outstanding. Terrific passes across from Trent and just overall good play. Uh, I think at some point Liverpool got too quick. We're getting a little too quick, and Tottenham kind of also squashed down a little bit, and they also started doing the same thing. But our defenders and midfielder were just better than them overall. So nothing, nothing harsh or nothing crazy or nothing against Tottenham. I just think the game was set up for them to fail. Honestly, it was set up for them to fail. With at 2-1, you don't need to rush Liverpool. You don't need to try to go get that one goal. Wait until half time, change your strategy a little bit, then you have better chance. But they were still doing the same thing, leaving the midfield uh, empty. More importantly, leaving the defense just empty. Nobody's tracking back. The first goal, what's that guy's name? Was it Sa? Sa could have just held down Luis Diaz until run into the box. He didn't do nothing. He just he let his foot off the gas. But I also have to say, Liverpool didn't. I know I'm taking too much time. Liverpool also, I was disappointed a little bit with some of the goals that we let them score. We took the foot off the gas in the wrong way. Defense should always stay on point, regardless of what the score line is. We just took the foot off the gas at that point. At 2-1, we kind of almost gave them a little boost and they didn't use it well. The last thing that I would say is both teams kind of ran the same play in the sense that they wanted to isolate their key players, Salah and Son on the other side. What I noticed is they will play away from them, but eventually try to find them. Of course, Salah is, whenever you find Salah, his accuracy is right on there. And the defender that is playing 1v1 with him is just not as good as Trent playing 1v1 against Son. But very exciting game. I really love what I saw. Um, I have to say I love what I saw from Liverpool, and also I like Premier League for what Tottenham did. In the sense that everybody's a competitor. Everybody's a competitor. Everybody's gonna play regardless of his score line. So they came out, they were pushing. Maybe should not have pushed that hard. They would probably just do more strategizing, and they can probably make the game a little difficult for Liverpool. But I'm happy. I'm happy. 3 points. Away is good.
That's excellent. It was. I mean, I was going to say it was a statement, but they've made several statements this season, and it was just it was a statement in a sense that the consensus it's Liverpool's Premier League to lose. It's we've reached a point where it would need a collapse, an internal collapse, as opposed to losing games that would cause them to drop uh, to second in this title race. So very impressive game. I would say I was very impressed with the dynamic movement, particularly with Diaz that was pulling defenders out of position, and I don't think Tottenham had an answer to that. And also, I'd watched just before the game. I'd watched their game against Man United in the EFL Cup. So they break whenever they're bent. They break. They don't have any resiliency. They don't have any way to compose themselves. They don't know how to how. They don't have the ability to regain momentum. So if something is going away from them, they don't have the ability to snatch it back, and you need this because things happen, mistakes happen, difficult situations come through. You need to be able to stem the tide and then kick on again. And Tottenham haven't shown the ability to do that. You push them, they fall. And so, great game, great results. Shout out to Slobosai too. He had a really, really great game as number 10. And yeah, on to bigger and better things. You got more games coming in, two more games before the end of the year. So if Liverpool play anything like they did in this game, it would be a cakewalk. The next game we wanted to talk about was Arsenal and Crystal Palace. This was a game that ended up being 5-1 to Arsenal with a multitude of different scorers, but primarily Gabriel Jesus, who had something of a renaissance, we'd hope, and not a flash in the pan, scoring 2 goals in the game, but also 5 goals in the course of a week, if that includes the EFL Cup. It was a game, and from my perspective, I can say it. It was a very competitive game. Crystal Palace had a very good plan. They pressed from the front, and they did that very effectively. They challenged. Mateta was a handful the entire game for both Saliba and Gabriel, which is something I didn't expect. However, the way they played, looking for goals, meant that spaces were opened in behind, and Arsenal punished that very, very effectively. We had a wonderful performance from Gabriel Jesus. He scored a worldie as a second goal. We had decisive movement, decisive actions, and just really, really good team management because we've been nursing a lot of injuries, and you could tell that Arteta was doing very well when he chose to introduce Calafiori and Declan Rice, which did seal up the momentum, take it all the way to our side, and Declan even ended up scoring a fifth. The only thing negative for the game was the injury to Saka that happened in the 24th minute, I believe, and we have heard since that he will be gone for weeks because it was a hamstring tear, and so it's a bittersweet moment because he has been an important source of creativity and goals in this season, and it's not unclear to see where that level of production will come from. However, we have faith in Arteta in what he's done so far, and we hope that he will find solutions. So, did you wait? What do you think about the game and Crystal Palace and
I
Arsenal? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Jesus was he came entering the week as a machine. I'm not a big fan of Jesus, honestly. Credit to Crystal Palace, they did a better job than Tottenham. They were still looking for goals, but they were still doing their defensive duty, or compared to Tottenham. So I think Arsenal just had a better game plan. Of course, the injury with Saka uh, is never a good thing, but they managed the game pretty well. They knew they had all the resources to beat them, and they were just on point. So I also like the way I was looking at the highlight, trying to get some clips from it and all of that. I also like the way was he? No, it wasn't Harvard. Yeah, it was Harvard. At some point, he was doing a little bit shifting to the left. I think it was one of my observation. Um, I don't know if it's intentional to try to run away from the position that Saka would have covered, just to play on the opposite side. I don't
Yeah.
know who was playing on the other side when Saka was taken out. I'm talking about when Saka, when they took Saka out, who
Oh, we
replaced
brought
him
Martinelli to the other side,
to the,
and then we
yes,
brought
Martinelli.
Trossard.
So
He had an excellent game. Mm.
so I was gonna say, so I think they were playing away from their plays because Martinelli wasn't comfortable in that aspect. But Trossard on the other side, on the left, and Harvard, I just love their little time that they had together. And big credit to Jesus as well. I don't want to undermine his efforts, the goals. I think very firecracker. But big credit to Arteta as well. I wouldn't have thought I would put Martinelli up there for me. But is that what you would be looking forward to see going forward, or you put Sterling on that side?
Yeah, well, Sterling. The problem with him is his all-round game. So He's not someone that understands what it means to be an Arsenal player with demands, physical demands that are required of the winger. So that makes him a little bit of a liability. Trossard and Martinelli, they understand a little bit better. I actually do think we might actually use Waneri in that position before we even talk about using Sterling.
Sterling.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Martinelli. His decision making. You'd think he'd be at a disadvantage, but he actually beating a player to a line and crossing actually suited him a little bit better from
Better.
the right hand side. So we might actually just keep going with that and using Martinelli on the right with Trossard on the left. But the question that then now comes in is squad depth. This is where Jesus becomes important because he's a rotational option on actually both the right and the left. And Sterling, I don't have much faith in him, but he's also one person that hopefully should play a part in these few times. I think for me, I was really interested in the fact that we played Havertz and Jesus at the same time, and so you could tell that we chose to sacrifice a lot of control of in the games to with the understanding that we will create the better chances overall. And
Hmm.
at that and so it's not something I think Arteta would do a lot because he'd like more control in the midfield, meaning that dueling because you could see as soon as we brought Declan Rice to play in that eight position, we just sealed that game up. For the last 30 minutes, nothing was happening from a Crystal Palace point of view. Obviously, we scored 4 goals by then. Uh, and so when you take that out, you put Havertz, you have more threat in the box, more crashing, more offensive potential. However, you lose that control, and so that game can start to yo-yo, which is one thing I know that in this phase of Arsenal's development, Arteta is not very comfortable in, because whenever you're a team that is very strong offensively, I'm not saying that we're not, but Liverpool, for example, is a different. Uh, Squad in that sense, you can back your team. That if it's going back and forth, you're going to come out on top in that situation. And I don't think Arsenal is quite there in terms of that clinicality, where it's like you'd want that kind of game often. And so he took a risk and it paid off. I doubt he'll do it again, but it's interesting to see how he's choosing to find solutions, but there's a sense that he might need to go into the market, but we don't know if we have the funds for that because we've needed a replacement on the left, and with Saka's injury, that becomes much more important because I really don't think he has a lot of faith in Sterling, and he brought in Sterling for lesser games, and in a Premier League you don't have any lesser games, so it's challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up using Jesus and Harvard. I wonder what prompted that decision. Maybe he saw something different with the, excuse me, with the Pyro game that you guys play with Crystal Palace. I don't know why, because I think you can keep one of them on the bench and still kill the game. It worries me, and I hope he doesn't keep doing that, especially with the injury stacking up. Um, Unlike Liverpool, what really gives Liverpool advantage over every other team in the Premiership, Premier League right now is just having a strong substitution. Jota is back now; it makes us better. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Liverpool fan. It's just the fact that even Nunes on his worst day is still a threat bringing him on as substitution. So for Arsenal to get up there, drop down Chelsea, because Chelsea also has a stronger forward substitution than Arsenal at this point, in my own opinion.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's not very hard to pip Arsenal. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just keeping the boys fit, of course, giving them game time as well without killing them would be essential as we go into second half of the season.
Yeah, it's a difficult quandary. It looks like he was trying to build from the back, and which is because like the wing back situation, center back pairing. Like I really do feel like if we had better fitness across the back line this season, we'll actually be in a much better position. But I can see him building forward,
Hmm.
and so you can see it's like so like for once everyone comes back from injury, that back line is solid. What's it called? We might need one more person in the midfield, but that's one more person to take Jorginho's place or take Partey's place if they leave. And I think I'm happy with what that is. And the offense is the next steps. I think he's building forward, And we've tried to get a few players. There's one player, Sesko out of Leipzig. They're actually sucking this season, so hopefully we can get him for a bargain. But I don't think we can get him before the end of the season. But Lookman will be the goal. I feel like if it will cost money, but I really do think that's the play because he can play
So
both left and right too. Yeah. Mhm.
so what are you gonna do with Martinelli, man, and
But
Trossard?
Martinelli has a role to play. Trossard has a role to play. But that's what you're talking about having strong substitutions. So you're going from a place where, Martinelli had to be the first person on the team sheet to he was a rotational option. Some games he'd start, some games, and that's about the level he is. He's not your go-to, but he is a very effective member of a team because he does really good things. He had a great assist, yeah, and he was causing a lot of issues from the right. In fact, towards the end of overall, I guess he played for longer, but he had a greater effect on the right hand side than even Saka did. So there's a lot of things he can do well. It's just frustrating to see him not meet the level that we had projected and expected from him regularly. The same thing with Jesus. That's a great player. He's just not hitting the levels that we want regularly, and that's where that frustration comes through. Yeah. But
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
Yeah. Speaking of frustration and not eating the expectation, let's talk about Man United real quick. Your thoughts on the game, on the team, and overall this new Man United that we're seeing.
I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. I wasn't able to watch the first half live. I watched the second half live, and I watched the first half through highlights. On the order grand scheme of things, Man United created a lot of chances. They created opportunities to score, and for any coach, when you test your efficacy or your ability is how easily or how many chances you can create for your offensive players or your players in general to finish. And I think in that game they created a lot of chances. Their progressive play was impressive. However, Bournemouth were very savvy and they were very decisive on their forays forward. Uh, it's kind of funny because I like to listen to what people are saying about Amorim now, and I'm like, this is just about what Ten Hag was doing. These are the kind of results he was getting. You create chances, you don't score, you lose the game. Like I remember the one before he got sacked, which was about Crystal Palace, so they drew 0-0. Like they should have beaten Crystal Palace by 3-0, three goals at least, and they ended up drawing that game and getting their coach sacked. So it's always 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Man United are not safe. They're not. They're not. They've not. Resurrected. It's going to be a slog. Like it's still the same set of players that got the previous what's it called coach sacked. It's still the same set of players. Arguably, a good chunk of them that got the manager before him also sacked. So you can see a team that is low in confidence. That you know they've been fortunate. Man United. This is one of those games where they're unlucky and they lose. Like you look at their comeback against Man City, that was fortune. When they had a renaissance against Tottenham during and when they played in the EFL Cup, that was fortune because other players had to make mistakes, for them to get those points. And then when you go to a game where that's not happening, and all that people are just seeing is that you're just conceding a lot of goals,
Yeah.
and then it starts to become an issue. Um, in the same way, it wasn't. It was too early to say Man United's problems were fixed. It is too early to say like Amarim's damned. He needs time. He needs time on the training ground. He needs support from the fans and the management to just work with the players to improve those who can be improved and start getting replacements for those who can't. And that's really what the goal is. And so anyone who's talking like top four, even top six, like I don't think you're being realistic as to where what's it called Man United is because I can name 6 teams easily that would take those positions. So it's sad to see because he's coming off the high of having those victories, coming off the high of the Man City victory, and to just having disappointing results. I would say, if anything, is they were spirited the entire time. Their heads did not drop. It didn't look like players were turning on each other, or people were shirking responsibility. Things were just not coming off towards the end, and that's a good sign. That their spirit was strong. Ahmad, I love his endeavor. I love his industry, and you can see why Amarim platforms him a lot, because his attitude is a dogged attitude is what they need. Just need to keep fighting, and hopefully the results will come. But it was disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to jump on what you mentioned earlier. It is easy to fire a coach because it's literally easier than firing the entire squad, right? And
Yeah.
I was all for firing the Ten Hag kind of clan. And the reason why I'm still for it, and I think it was a good decision, in my own opinion, the reason why I think it's justifiable is you need a coach that can do something about what's going on. So for him, it was a coach that, yeah, the players are just now the best. The players, like you said, a good number of them got the previous coach fired. So you still bringing the old wagon into the new system, the old wagon into the newest system, right? The point I'm trying to make is, Ruben Amorim needs to start continue to make hard decisions. Like if Rashford is not performing, throw him, put him somewhere. If Ganacho is not performing, hey, let's do this. It's all about performance, and I will do everything in my power to make sure everybody is improving. And if you're not improving, you get out. So that's what Tenag didn't have, and I hope it continues that way. You know, kudos to the team, like you said. No heads down, no finger pointing, everybody just accepted the defeat, clapped their hands for the fans, and we move on and we keep going. I look forward to what Coach Mide will say about this, but nobody's happy. Even the non-Man United fan. We like competition. We don't like seeing uh no we don't like seeing people fail, you know. But yes, over to you, Ayo. What else do we have on the agenda, sir? I cannot hear you.
Apologies, I had myself on mute. We're gonna take a break for a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, we have some games coming over the festive period. We have week 18 and week 19 of games, and we're just gonna go and see what our predictions were. We're gonna leave spare Man United uh, your predictions and just pray for victories. But Liverpool, you're going to play Leicester City at home, I believe, and
Yes.
then in the course of 3 days, you're going to play West Ham away. How are your feelings about how you think both games are going to go?
Ooh, Anfield, Jamie Vardy likes his work. I like his work rate. I just don't like him trying to do crazy things against Liverpool. There are some players in the last 6 to 8 years that I just don't like. They always want to do more than they should be doing when it comes to Liverpool. But regardless, I don't see us losing that game. I can see them scoring, but I don't see us losing that game. I think it's a game to also give Van Dijk a little bit of break. Have him on the bench, but don't start Van Dijk. Uh, just to see what the direction the team will play. Concerning the other game, the West Ham, yeah, definitely start Van Dijk, but I also don't see us now winning that game. I actually see that game. I see us scoring more in that game than the Leicester one. I think Leicester defense is improving under Van Nistelrooy, but they just been making silly mistakes. Their
Right.
last game, big credit to Justin, a good defender. They just were not connected during the last game. So I see that getting improved, and that probably going to give us a little bit of problem in
Okay.
the next game. But
If you could put a score to it, what do you think? Or you go Leicester game, for example?
Leicester is going to be 2-1.
2-1. Okay.
Uh,
West Ham.
West Ham, I see 3-0 on that one.
Yeah, yeah. I would actually say the West Ham game will be very tricky. I think since Lopetegui has been fired, I think they've reverted back to focusing on defensive solidity, and that avalanche of goals that they've been conceding, they've kind of like turned that off to some extent. I'm not exactly sure what they'll do offensively, but it'll be interesting to see. I can see that being a tighter game, the 2-1 to Liverpool, because just your mentality. I just don't feel like they're going to lose that game. With the Leicester game, I think that might be a blowout. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. I
I know.
like the
I don't think Leicester have a lot of mobility in the back, and I think Liverpool can exploit that. But they are tricky games. I mean, I'll just back Liverpool at home more than I'll back them, away. But
way.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely, it's there's no gimme, so it's very interesting. Yes, I do think them. I see them confidently winning the Leicester game. And if any shenanigans happen, it would be that West Ham game. Arsenal, we're playing Ipswich. They're coming to the Emirates, and then we're going to play Brentford in the new year. Uh, my feeling about Ipswich Town is I do feel that'll be a subdued game. We will control it and we'll beat them. I think it's going to be more of a professional game. There won't be too much threat from Ipswich side. However, I do think that they're not defensively solid enough for us not to break them down. And so I see that game going more like 2-0. With the Brentford game, that's scary. We're going away. They are a very tough team, and we will have a battle on our hands, both physically and tactically. And so I'd like to back Arsenal, but I do think that'll be a tight game. I'll give it a 1-0. Uh, we almost figured them out recently, but they're still a very challenging team. It'll be more challenging than the Crystal Palace game, but I think we'll beat them 1-0. I just feel like we just have to keep up, so I think that's a mentality. We're definitely going to miss Saka, but I don't think it's going to rise to the level of miss that was Odegaard or having our wing backs away. Because whenever you're on the outside, it's not as critical that you're the person, and so we'll see. But yeah, I'm confident. I'm confident in the first game, the Ipswich game, but I think the Brentford game will be challenging. However, I back Arsenal to win both. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I definitely don't see Arsenal win both games for sure. But the Brentford one is they are some crazy, they are some tough cookie, man. They don't mess around. They don't mess around. That Wusa guy is just a different machine. Um, but we are here for the fun. I'm excited. Real quick though, we didn't talk about this earlier. Everton, Chelsea, or Chelsea, Everton,
Oh
zero
yeah.
zero. That team is doing the same thing that they've been doing with everybody. Everton, man. They got Man City next. Do you think they're
They
gonna
they
beat Man?
created so many chances to score against Chelsea. That's what. So my thing is, so if I was looking at the top three, right? Uh, I am like trying to figure out how or if it's possible to catch Liverpool. I'm not really scared about Chelsea. I think Chelsea have been very, very fortunate defensively. Kind of how Liverpool were last season. So when it was a three-horse race, what's it called? And we're heading into the final section, and Liverpool dropped about. And I was like, I expected that because when I watched your game, I thought they were very, very fortunate defensively. Right, that's how I see Chelsea right now, and so it was for me. It was interesting to say that they couldn't score, but I was surprised by how many clear cut chances Everton created. That's where that was like that got me. But yeah, Everton's they're strong mentally. If they have time to rest and to prepare, they're very very difficult to break. And
It's crazy.
yeah, you guys got to play them at some point. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
game in hand might not be as secure as you think. Yeah, right.
yeah. I like you bringing that in. I just think Liverpool should just keep going with the margin we have now
Mhm.
and not think about because I don't like Everton, not because they are we're on the same streets pretty much, but they're just difficult lately, man. I feel like they're probably gonna do the same thing with Man City. Just hold Man City down, just build a break, and make sure Man City doesn't score. They are crazy, man. They're crazy. They're like they're like the little insects that just goes around, bites you, and comes around the other side, bites you. You just can't figure them out. I'm happy to see it though. That's why we love the league. So
Yeah.
very, very good. Yeah. Any thoughts, anything as we wrap up here?
No, it's just interesting times. It's you're happy when your team wins. When your team loses, you want to like pick through it, and the goal as a fan is to stay positive, and
Yeah.
not overthink anything. You don't overthink the wins. You don't overthink the losses too, because I can imagine how midday is. Like he might not even enjoy his Christmas turkey right now. Just crying.
Amigos, send your heart, send your love for to Coach Mide as he wraps up the year with hopefully with some wins from the Man United winning
Hopefully,
the league.
yeah. Did,
Yeah.
did, did we
What's
even
up with
check?
the Udi today, Amigo Ayo?
Sorry.
What's up with the Udi today?
Oh, I'm just wearing this in commemoration of Man City's title charge. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we both have Udis on, so
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know why. But
It's
anyway,
cold, man. You gotta
it's,
stay warm. You gotta
that's
stay
right.
warm, protected.
That's
You can't
right.
be caught slipping. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Amigos, hey, do us a favor during this holiday, get some rest, and please subscribe to the channel. Let's get a couple more guys, get a couple more people who are watching, a couple more subscribers as we go into 2025. Amigo, host, the best analyst, Ayo, close us out.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, amigos. Thank you so much for staying us with this year to 2024. We've learned a lot about this process. We're learning the technology, and we're learning how to speak or add value to the conversation around our teams and be a positive presence in the fan media space. Well, thank you so much for staying coming along on this journey with us this year, and just look forward to bigger announcements, better setups, better sounds, more activities. We're planning so much, and hopefully we start to introduce them in the next year. So stay merry and get excited for what 2025 is going to bring. Thank you so much for being with us on this journey, and we bid you adios. Bye, amigos.
Adios, amigo. Feliz David. Feliz. That was no plan at all. All right, thank you, and Media, we miss you. All right, guys.